You've probably seen the scary version of this chart. Someone posts it with a caption like, "The stock market made zero money for a decade." And the worst part is, the chart doesn't even look fake. The line really does go sideways for years. If you're just starting out, that's terrifying. I mean, why would you pour your hard-earned money into something that might just go nowhere for 10 years of your life? But here's the thing. That claim is built out of 3 quiet little tricks, and once you can see them, one of those scary charts will never fool you again. So today we're going to break down exactly how zero money gets manufactured and what the honest number underneath actually is. Welcome to Grow with Tony. I'm Tony, and today we're putting one of the internet's scariest finance claims under the microscope. Did the stock market really make you nothing? This video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Please do your own research before making any investment decisions. Now, let's get into why this even matters. Doom content is absolutely everywhere these days. Because let's be honest, fear gets clicks. A scary chart showing your money vanishing or stalling is always going to travel further and faster than a calm chart showing steady growth. And this particular claim, the idea that stocks went nowhere for years, is especially dangerous. Why? Because it scares beginners out of investing at the exact moment they should be starting. It makes the market look like a giant casino where you can lose a decade of your life. Here's the trap, and it's a nasty one. The claim isn't a flat-out lie. It's actually worse than a lie. It's a half-truth dressed up in real-looking data, which makes it feel impossible to argue with. When something is partly true, your brain tends to stop questioning the rest of it. You see the line, you see the dates, and you just accept the conclusion. So here's my promise for this video. No cope and no cheerleading. I'm not going to tell you don't worry, stocks always go up, because that's not honest either. The market has crashes, it has corrections, and it has slow periods. Instead, I'm going to show you the exact 3 moves that turn a perfectly normal market into a zero-money horror story. And then I'll show you the honest, accurate picture sitting underneath it. By the end of this, you'll be able to look at your own money and anyone else's scary chart and measure it the right way. Now, before we tear the claim apart, we have to be fair. We have to admit that the chart isn't just some random drawing. There is a reason this zero money argument feels so credible. To be completely honest up front, there really was a stretch, starting around the year 2000, where the price of the S&P 500, which is just the index that tracks around 500, of the biggest companies in the United States, went roughly sideways for about a decade. This period was so infamous that people literally named it the Lost Decade. So no, the person posting that chart did not just make up the line. The data they are using for the price is real, and that is exactly why it works so well. We are wired as humans to glance at a price chart, see a line that goes flat, or dips and then returns to where it started, and instantly conclude that nothing happened. We think, if I put $1 in here and 10 years later I still have $1, I've made nothing. It's simple, it's visual, and it hits you right in the gut. It feels like a definitive proof that investing is a waste of time. But here is the uncomfortable truth that the doom posters don't want you to notice. A chart can be 100% accurate and still tell you a lie. It doesn't have to fake the data to mislead you. It just has to be selective. It can lie by what it quietly leaves out, by where it chooses to start the clock, and by what units it's secretly using to measure success. That's exactly where the 3 tricks live. So, we aren't going to argue with the chart's line. We are going to expose what the chart is hiding. Now, trick number 1, and this is the giant one. This is the biggest sleight of hand in all of finance. That scary chart you see is almost always showing what's called the price return of the S&P 500. Now, price return is just a fancy way of saying the change in the stock prices and nothing else. It's just the entry price versus the exit price. And here's the part most people never realize. The headline S&P 500 number you hear quoted on the news every single day is that price-only version. When the news says the market is up or down today, they are talking about the price. But there is something huge that this version conveniently leaves out. Dividends. Now, if you're new to this, let me explain what a dividend is in plain English. A dividend is essentially a slice of a company's profit that it pays out to you, in cash, just for owning the stock. Think of it like a thank you payment for being a shareholder. Lots of big, healthy, established companies do this every single quarter. Now, there is another version of the index called the total return version. This version assumes that you don't just pocket that cash, but that you reinvest it. This means you use those dividend payments to automatically buy a few more shares of the index, which then pay you even more dividends, which you use to buy even more shares, and so on. It's a compounding machine. Now, why does this matter so much? Because over the long run, dividends have done a shocking amount of the heavy lifting. According to S&P Dow Jones Indices, the actual company that runs the S&P 500, if you go all the way back to the 1920s, roughly a third of the index's total return has come from dividends, not from the prices going up. And in some decades, like the 1940s and the 1970s, dividends actually made up more than half of the entire return. When you realize that, the zero money chart starts to look very different. Picture what that price chart is actually doing. For that whole flat decade, dividends were still being paid out, quarter after quarter, year after year. A real investor who was reinvesting those dividends was quietly buying more and more shares at low prices the entire time the market was going sideways. By the time the market finally started to climb again, that investor didn't just have their original shares. They had a mountain of new shares they'd accumulated through dividends. But if you strip all of that out, if you show only the price line and pretend the dividends never existed, of course it looks like nothing happened. It looks like a flat line, because you've deleted a massive chunk of the actual profit. That is trick number one, and it is the single biggest reason zero money charts exist. They show you the price, but they hide the profit. Once you've hidden the dividends, the doom poster moves on to trick number two. And this one is even sneakier because it's about where the chart starts. It's all about the starting line. Those lost decade charts almost always begin in one very specific spot, the very top of the dot-com bubble in the year 2000. Now, you have to understand that the year 2000 was one of the most wildly overpriced moments in the entire history of the stock market. Everything was inflated, expectations were unrealistic, and prices were at a screaming peak. Here is the honest reframe. If you start measuring any investment from a screaming peak, it is going to look bad for a while. Why? Because you began at the worst possible moment. If you buy something at its most expensive price ever, it takes a long time just to get back to even. But if you slide that same starting line just a couple of years earlier, or even a couple of years later, the entire story flips. It goes from a horror story about a lost decade to a story about a perfectly normal market recovery. Picking the peak as your starting point isn't financial analysis. It's set design for a scary story. It's like filming a movie about a house and only showing the one room where the paint is peeling, then claiming the whole house is falling down. But let's talk about the part that actually matters for a real human being, because this is where the logic of the lost decade completely falls apart. In the real world, you don't actually invest one giant lump of money at the exact top of a bubble and then just sit there and never add another dollar for 10 years. That's just not how anyone actually invests. Most people put money in a little at a time, every month or every payday, year after year. There is a name for this: dollar cost averaging. All that means is investing a fixed amount on a regular schedule, regardless of what the price is. Now, here is the beautiful side effect of doing this. When prices are low, your fixed amount of money automatically buys you more shares. When prices are high, it buys you fewer shares. So, think about the person who actually lived through that lost decade and invested steadily. They weren't frozen at the 2000 peak. Instead, they were scooping up shares cheaply during every single dip and every single crash throughout that entire decade. They were building a massive position while the price was low. For a steady investor, that scary flat decade wasn't a disaster. It was actually a gift. It was a 10-year sale on the biggest companies in the world. So, when you see a single start-to-end window, especially one that carefully starts at a bubble top, remember that it isn't showing you the market makes nothing. It's showing you one cherry-picked slice of time, framed specifically to scare you. Now we get to trick number 3, and this is the most slippery one of all because it hides inside the units. This is the quiet switch between nominal and real numbers. Since these terms can be confusing, Let me define them both in plain English right now. Nominal is just the plain dollar figure. It's the number you see on your screen or the number written on a bank statement. Real means the number has been adjusted for inflation. Inflation is just the fact that over time, prices for things like milk, rent, and gas go up, which means the purchasing power of a single dollar goes down. So, a real return reflects what your money can actually buy in the real world after rising prices are taken into account. Here is how this gets abused in zero money claims. Some of these claims will quietly run the stock returns through an inflation adjustment to drag the numbers down, making the returns look smaller. But then, they leave everything they are comparing the stocks against, like cash in a savings account, in plain nominal terms. That is a classic apples to oranges trick. It's designed to make the stocks look worse than they are by using two different sets of rules. Other people do the exact opposite. They ignore inflation completely whenever it makes their point look stronger. The dishonest part here isn't the act of using inflation. Inflation is a real thing. The dishonest part is using it selectively to manufacture a specific result. Now, I want to be very clear here, because this is where this channel refuses to cut corners. Inflation is absolutely real, and it genuinely matters. You cannot ignore it if you want to be a smart investor. A dollar really does buy less today than it did 20 years ago. If you want to see this for yourself, you can actually check it using the US government's own CPI inflation calculator from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's a free tool, and I highly recommend you go play with it just to see how the math works. But the rule for honest reporting is simple. If you adjust one side of the equation for inflation, you have to adjust both sides. You can't cherry-pick which numbers get realized and which stay nominal. And here is the thing, even after you honestly adjust for inflation, the S&P 500's long-run total return, with dividends reinvested, has still been solidly positive. It hasn't been zero. It might have been lower in some years than others, but it hasn't been a wash. Caring about real, inflation-adjusted returns is smart and fair. But using inflation as a one-sided weapon to manufacture a scary headline? That's just a trick. So, let's take a step back and put it all together. Let's stack these three tricks back up and watch the horror story get built one more time, just so you can see the whole machine in action. First, you take a price-only chart. You quietly delete all the dividends, which we know account for a huge portion of the long-term gain. Then, you carefully set the starting line at the very top of the 2000 bubble, the most overpriced moment in history. Then, you squint at the data in a way that ignores how real people actually invest, pretending everyone just put in one lump sum at the peak and never added another cent. Finally, you play games with inflation, adjusting some numbers but not others to drag the total down. If you do all three of those things, you get a chart that says, the market made zero money. It looks professional, it uses real data points, and it feels true. But now, let's undo them, one by one. First, we put the dividends back and we reinvest them. Suddenly, that flat line starts to curve upward because you're accounting for all those quarterly payments and the new shares they bought. Next, we stop starting the clock at a bubble peak and look at a more realistic time frame. The lost decade starts to look less like a void and more like a standard market cycle. Then, we account for the fact that you invest steadily over time, buying through the dips via dollar-cost averaging. Now, the return isn't just positive, it's actually quite strong, because you bought a lot of shares while they were cheap. Finally, we apply inflation honestly across the board. And what you're left with is the honest picture. Across that exact rocky stretch, the S&P 500 made real, meaningful money for a long-term investor. It wasn't a fortune overnight, and it certainly wasn't a straight line up, but it was genuinely, clearly, not zero. Now we can finally pay off the question from the very start of this video. Was the chart lying to you? Not exactly. The chart was never actually lying about the price, but it wasn't telling you the whole story. And the whole story is the only thing that should ever be allowed to move your money. This is bigger than just one chart or one decade. Doom content is engineered to make you feel a specific emotion, fear, and then it wants you to act on that emotion. Usually, that action is either selling your investments in a panic or deciding to never start investing in the first place. The best defense against this isn't blind optimism. It's not just saying everything will be fine. The best defense is knowing how to measure. When you learn to measure correctly, most of those terrifying headlines just quietly dissolve. So, how do you actually apply this to your own life? I want to give you 4 actionable steps you can take right now so you never get fooled by a zero money claim again. Step 1. Always check the total return, not just the price. Whenever you are looking up how a fund, a stock, or an index has performed, don't just eyeball the price chart. Hunt for the total return number. That is the number that includes dividends reinvested. It is the only number. That actually reflects what you would have ended up with in your account. If someone shows you a price chart, just ask yourself, where are the dividends? And you'll immediately see the gap in their argument. Step 2. Distrust any single start-to-end window, especially one that conveniently begins at a famous peak or ends at a famous crash. When you see a chart that looks too scary or too perfect, ask one simple question. What happens to this story if you started a year earlier or a year later? If the scary conclusion completely falls apart just by moving the date by 12 months, then the data was cherry-picked from the start. It wasn't a trend. It was a snapshot designed to mislead. Step 3. Know the difference between nominal and real returns and demand that the logic be applied consistently. If a claim adjusts the stock returns for inflation to make them look smaller, make sure they are adjusting the comparison, like a savings account or gold, for inflation too. If they aren't, they are playing a game. I really encourage you to go play with that BLS inflation calculator I mentioned. Once you see how a dollar's purchasing power actually changes, the whole concept of nominal versus real will click for you for good, and you'll be able to spot this trick in seconds. And step 4, which is maybe the most important, don't let a scary chart scare you out of your plan. The real damage from zero money content isn't that it's slightly mathematically wrong. It's that it talks a beginner out of ever starting, or it panics a long-term investor into selling at the worst possible time. The market has always had periods where it felt like it was going nowhere. But for the person who keeps investing steadily, right through the noise, those periods are often where the most wealth is actually built. The bottom line is this: a chart can be completely accurate and still lie to you. Learn to read the total return, watch where the line starts, and check the units, and you'll stop being the target that Doom Finance is built for. If this video changed how you read a scary market chart, do me a favor and subscribe. That way, the next piece of finance fear bait you see on your feed will be a whole lot easier to see through. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you seen the zero money chart out in the wild? Have you seen other charts that looked terrifying until you looked closer? Let me know, because Tony reads them all. A chart can be honest and still mislead. Your job is to read the whole story. See you in the next one.